Welcome, Flow Getters. My name is Danielle. I'm about to take you through a 20-minute bedtime routine to help you relax and get that mindset for rest and relaxation. To get the most out of today's program, I want you to incorporate two things as well. Now, these two things are being tied in for the goal that we are trying to trigger the relaxation response, or what we like to call hack the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this is a side of our nervous system that assists in rest and digestion and all those functions that allow us just to want to Netflix and chill. The first thing I want you to bring attention to is your breath. Now, typically we don't have to think to breathe, but during this routine, I want you to take intentional breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. And if you find in a moment or posture that you are holding your breath, just remind yourself, hey, let's breathe, okay? So the second thing I want you to keep in mind is try not to think of anything else. I know this is really hard, so I'm gonna give you some fail safes to bring your mind back to if this does happen. One is bring your attention back to your breath. Two, you can create some type of visualization. Maybe you're the type of person that needs to whack-a-mole a few things out of their head. So every time a thought comes in, you whack-a-mole. Or maybe you're the type of person that needs to think of clouds floating in the air, and as those clouds pass, so do your thoughts. So we're all individuals. Do what's best for you. Looking forward to joining you on the mat.
Starting at the top of your mat, preferably up against a wall, bring your feet hip-width apart, palms facing forward, and letting your low back and shoulders make contact with the wall. Bring hands to prayer, and as you hinge forward, think about lengthening through your spine to the front wall as you forward fold, letting the crown of your head relax down to your mat. You can bring hands to either elbow as you settle into this pose. You may feel as though you're going to tip forward with the wall supporting you behind, and that's okay. Nodding your head yes or no to just release any tension in your neck. And you may bring your tip of the tongue to the roof of your mouth. Reaching your right hand down, left hand up to the ceiling as you straighten that left knee. Left hand down. Bend your left knee, straighten your right knee as you reach your right hand up to the ceiling. Right hand back down. Breathe in, half lift. Exhale, move deeper into your forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, move deeper into your forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Bring your hands to prayer. Take a small step forward, bringing feet the width of your mat and lower into a yogi squat. Here, bring attention back to your breath, letting all other thoughts go. Hands to the mat, moving into all fours, having hands directly under your shoulders, knees under hips, and perform a few cat-cows with your breath. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Big toes together, bring your knees out and move into child's pose. Here, bring attention back to your breath. You can move your hands to the right, stacking that left hand on top of your right, trying to root that left sit bone down. Moving hands back to the center. And then reaching to your left, stacking your right hand on top of your left, trying to root that right sit bone back down. Hands to center and breathe. Coming back up onto all fours, thread the needle, reach that right hand up to the ceiling and thread it through the left as you extend that left arm to the top of the mat. Moving left hand underneath your shoulder and then reach that right hand back up to the ceiling and switch to the other side. Reach that left arm up and through, bringing your left shoulder down to the mat as you extend that right arm up to the top of your mat. And then bring your right arm back to meet your right shoulder and back to all fours. Side sit and bring your legs in front of you. Have one knee bent, one extended out straight. Reach your arms up to the ceiling and hinge forward as again you try and find length in your spine as you bend over directly in front of you. Root those sit bones down to the ground, and as you do so, Spidey walk your fingers to stretch over your bent knee, back to the center of your mat, and then Spidey finger walk to stretch over your straight knee. Coming into a more restorative posture, you can bend your elbows, letting your forearms rest on the ground, and just breathe, letting all other thoughts go. Coming back to the center of your mat, both hands in front, reach your arms up to the ceiling, and then side bend to the left as you open up that right side waist. Bring your left forearm to the ground. You may choose to bend your right elbow if your shoulders are tight. And then come back down, bringing your right hand to meet your left and your right foot to meet your left in this seated butterfly stretch. As you dip forward, you can move or use your elbows to create a little extra pressure into your inner thighs. Coming back up, switching to the other side, bend your other knee and straighten the other leg. Hands rise up to the ceiling and fold forward as you try to find length in your spine as you hinge at your hips. Root your sit bones back into the ground. Try and make contact with both sit bones. And then Spidey, walk your fingers to stretch over your bent knee. Moving back to the center of your mat, and then walk to stretch over your straight knee. Moving into the more restorative position of this posture, bend your elbows, let your forearms rest on the ground with palms facing up. Take a deep breath in. You may need to come back up, and then as you exhale, just let go as you fold forward. Moving back up, hands to the center of your mat. Arms raise up to the ceiling. Find length in your spine, and then you will side bend to the right, finding length in your left side waist. Right forearm resting on the ground while your left arm reaches as you try and open up that chest. You may choose to keep your elbow bent. And then coming back to the center, you're going to bring both feet in front of you with your legs out straight. Root those sit bones again. Reach up high to the ceiling. Find length in your spine as you forward fold. Again, bending your elbows, relaxing your shoulders back and down and just letting go of all thoughts as you remain folded here. Slowly roll back up. Side sit to one side of your choosing, and then come onto all fours facing your wall. Perform a few cat-cows here just to reset your pelvis and spine. Breathing in and out. Come up into a tall kneel position. As you bring your hands to prayer, step your right foot forward into a low lunge, making contact with your right knee into the wall. And as you do so, think about lengthening your tailbone down as you squeeze that left glute to stretch your left hip flexor. You may add a small micro side bend to enhance that stretch on your left side. Come back up, and then hands to the wall. Take a small scoot back, and you're going to straighten your right knee, keeping a micro bend, and fold forward for a half split. Coming back up, bringing your right knee to meet the left, hands rise up and into prayer, and just lower down into a child's pose to reset. Come back up into a tall kneel, step that left foot forward, pushing your left knee into the wall as you draw and lengthen your tailbone down, stretching that right hip flexor. Adding a little micro side bend if it suits you. Hands to the wall, take a small scoot back and then straighten through that left knee, keeping a micro bend as you hinge forward at your hips for a hamstring stretch in this half split. Bringing your hands to prayer and your left knee to meet the right, arms raise up into prayer and down into child's pose. Bring your knees nice and wide, big toes touching. Now you may choose to stay here as you bring attention back to your breath, or to get a deeper inner thigh groin stretch. You can bring your knees wider than the mat, keeping your feet flexed or in dorsiflexion, and then fold forward, resting your head on your forearms. Now, if this is too intense for your knees, I would suggest you just stay in child's pose. Moving back up onto all fours into a side sitting position. Now you're going to be seated facing the wall with your feet touching, knees bent, scoot nice and close. And once you achieve that position, Pilates roll down, articulating one vertebrae at a time as you come into a resting position with your head on the floor. Moving into supine twist, bring your knees up at a 90-degree angle. Scoot your hips to the left bring your knees to the right. Coming back up, a little pelvic reset, happy baby. Grab the outsides of your feet, bend those knees, bringing your thighs closer to your chest, trying to maintain nice contact with your low back to the ground. Feet back together, hands back into a T. Bump those hips to the right as you let your legs fall to the left. Supine twist on the other side, and if it suits you, you can bring your gaze to your right hand. Legs back up. Feet now on the floor, hands at your side. We're going to do a micro bridge just to reset those hips. Come back down. Bring your right foot to the wall, keeping your knee bent, and then your left foot to your right foot to your thigh into a reclined pigeon or supine figure 4 stretch. You may choose to add gentle pressure with your right hand to your right thigh, or you can move your hands to the back of your left thigh and gently bring your knee closer to your chest. Now, if this is too intense on your right knee, just go ahead and back off and stay in the first position. Coming out of the pose, bring both feet back to the ground, hands at your side. Micro bridge to reset the hips. And then switch to reclined pigeon or supine figure 4 on the opposite side. Also important to keep that top foot flexed or engaged to protect the knee. Again, progressing this position, you can grab both hands behind your right thigh and bring your right thigh closer to your chest. Coming out of the pose, uncross that leg, feet back on the floor, hands at your side, and a small micro bridge. Reset your hips. Now what you're going to do is drop your legs to one side and roll to your side as you scoot your hips as close to the wall as you absolutely can, where your hips are pretty much touching. And once they are, lay back on your side and then roll onto your back with your legs now up and extended on the wall. And here we're going to take our final resting posture. As you achieve a comfortable position, let your arms go. Let your thoughts go. Bring attention back to your breath. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And if you're having trouble eliminating those thoughts for coming in, go back to that fail-safe we talked in the beginning of our discussion. And before you start moving into seated position, just bring awareness back into your feet and back into your hands. You can bend and extend each knee. And then eventually bring your knees to your chest. Roll to one side. And then come to a seated position at the top of your mat. Bringing attention back to your breath. Bring your hands to prayer. And let all else go. Namaste.